Thank you very much. Great. So thanks a lot, and first of all, thank that I actually get a chance to talk here. And I said it before, so when I got the chance to come to Belgrade, I was here before, and I was like, okay, no matter what are the costs, I'm definitely coming. I really love the city and love the country and this whole area here. So let me just briefly start, and I think in the introduction there was a last sentence you mentioned was about that I had a chance to work with several companies to help them to scale and build their AI and data science capabilities. And if you, I think most of you were in the last very positive session about the future of 2029, and everything's going to be great, and it's there and it's happening. And if you listen to the speech, it's like, so it's 7 years in the future, so where the hell is it? And what I want to talk about today is really why isn't it happening as we expected? What are the major challenges companies and especially my clients are facing when they are getting in the process to get the value out of the data? So this is going to be the talk about today. And I think next slide. Oh, that's it. I think this is a sentence in Germany, actually very popular. It comes from a CEO from a German chemical company. You find it in the different presentations as well. I feel like having more AI pilots than any airline, but I still don't get anywhere. And this is the feeling we are actually getting from many of our clients. And if you talk to people in the AI, like, no one is doubting that there's a value in data. Everyone knows that. Everyone believes in AI, everyone believes in data, but it just doesn't fly. So in the large companies, you have thousands of people doing like smaller projects there. You have a dashboard here, dashboard over there. Then you have an automatically created presentation. Then maybe on your production line, something is automatized, but your recommendation system is actually rule-based. It's extremely decentralized. So it kind of everyone's trying something, but the real scaling of the value is not yet happening, at least for most of the companies. And in the next, I hope, 15, 20 minutes, I would like to go through three main points. Number one, we did quite a nice study showing the state of the nation. So where is actually this landscape of the companies, where are they? So who's moving fast forward, who's rather in an early stage? The second thing is, there's a couple of companies which are extremely successful. The tech business, in Germany, several of the car companies, so doing really, really good work. What do they have in common? And the third one, a little bit closer look on how do they operate, and where really a deep dive in this. What's special and what did they pick at the beginning and did differently than the competition? And again, if there are any immediate questions, feel free to jump in. So this one, it will not surprise you. I think it's and I think Luke, Julia talked about this as well a little bit. This whole artificial intelligence concept is there for 70 years. And even before, if we are not talking about differentiating cats and dogs, if you just think about simple statistical models, regression analysis, logical regressions, these concepts are actually very, very old. So the issue we are seeing on the market, and these numbers come from a study we have performed with 1,200 C-level executives around the world, you see that around 60% would call themselves still an AI waiters. What does it mean? Companies, they have bits and pieces of the solutions there, but they are not really generating an impact on their P&L, an impact on the revenues. And it's only 12% of those where you have a feeling, okay, they are doing everything right. And these are also the guys, again, mentioning Google, mentioning Microsoft, BMW, and many others, which are slowly getting this competitive advantage on the market. So if you look at why this is actually happening, and this research is publicly available, it's like 30 pages, and I really recommend to read this through because it's quite interesting. So if you look at this one, whatever. So what is this chart telling us? So there were multiple interviews with the C-level executives, with the mid-management, and the guys doing this research, they basically tried to split the companies in two groups. Or they were looking from the two different angles. The first one was the so-called AI differentiators. So these are companies having, let's say, very well done strategy. They do have the right people there. They are basically strong on this in this soft skill on the soft skill side. If you look at the AI foundation, here you are looking at the companies where you have the hard stuff, platform, data on a reasonable quality, data governance processes. Then you use some simple k-means clustering or hierarchical clustering, whatever. You got these four groups, and now it becomes extremely interesting. The 63%, these are those companies where they are saying, if we look at ourselves, we do not really have a platform to do the AI stuff. We are still on-prem. It's kind of everything is difficult. If you want to put something in production, it takes ages. And secondly, they also don't know actually what to do. And then we have a consultant from there, and he tells us we should do recommendation engines, and the other consultants tells us we should do NLP, and then we hire an head of data science, and he's actually all about blockchain. So, and they are confused. And over 60% of the companies, large companies, are seeing them being like this. On the other hand, you have the accelerators. These are the guys who are saying everything's great, I have a strategy, I have a platform, I probably already moved to the cloud, everything's running. The real fun stuff are these two, 13 and the 12%. You obviously have a significant amount of companies on the market who have either a strong platform and a good data quality, but just don't know what to do. And then you have a couple of guys who exactly know what to do, but they just cannot. And if you look at this market, this is a little bit the answer why it might take longer than 2029 to get there, because at the moment it's this 12% which is pushing the whole market in front, but the rest is lacking behind. And personally, I like this slide very much. It shows you, if you split it by industries, how it differs. And I'm especially, so I think at the beginning I mentioned tech, automotive, aerospace, Airbus as an example. So there's a couple of really good stuff happening. Life sciences, strong push from the data and AI perspective in R&D. But the fun is, again, at the bottom of the chart. It's healthcare, more from the public point of view, but especially banking and capital markets, and you see insurances. And I work quite a lot with the financial services clients, and there's a quite simple reason for it. Or actually, there are two. The number one is they are massively convinced that they've been working with data for the last 50 years. They know how it works. They're on the top of the things. They know everything the best. So that's financial services. They're very confident about what they are doing, number one. And number two, they are saying, and by the way, this whole fast cloud transformation, we cannot do it from regulatory reasons. Both of these things are not true. Number one, it's true that financial services industry used to work with data for quite a long period in time, but many other companies and many other industries are picking up. And the second one, this excuse about I'm not allowed to use new technologies from regulatory purposes, point of views, it's also not true anymore. If you really look into the larger bank, they're all on the way to the cloud transformation, and you get high-level security from Amazon, from AWS, from Azure. So even these things, but that's a good view on the market where we are at the moment. So moving on. If you look in this study, so before we really look deeper in the operating model, what do these companies have in common? So, and the number one is actually quite important. So, someone has sat down and defined the strategy for the company. What do we want to do with AI? It's extremely simple to say it, but that's crucial. And this strategy is on a C-level. The second one, agree a core data foundation is crucial. So they realize, okay, we have a strategy, but we need the platform. So the CEO tells the CIO, no matter what you do, just get us this data platform, get the data governance straight, get the data management straight. The third one, and I like this one the most, vast majority of these companies, and it's an influence which is coming strongly from US, from the tech, the multidisciplinary teams. Especially in the world of data, it's always a combination of someone who's for the user experience responsible, data engineer, platform guys, and so on and so forth. So working with multidisciplinary teams. The next one, responsible AI. Well, something I would even bet at the moment on the conferences, everyone is talking about industrialization, ML ops topics. Responsible AI and ethics AI is going to be the topic in Europe going forward. How do we ensure that the algorithms we do are responsible, explainable, the black box discussion we had before, and really from an ethical point of view, reasonable stuff, because there will be regulation asking for this, and these companies have it on their mind. And more likely to have employees to understand how AI applies to their role. It's a great point as well. You are working on the so-called data citizen. Your whole company understands what is data for and how can I use it. If you put it together, I see I need to speed up a little bit. I will take this. This is actually just a summary from we had before. Yeah? So you need the value, you need the right people to get this, you need the governance, investment priority, and look at the scale. Let's not talk about this one. Let's be a little bit more concrete. What were the pitfalls, at least I have seen over the last couple of years? And has any one of you guys, just raise your hand, seen this before? The so-called hub and spoke model. Not too many. It's extremely simple. The way how in the last years the companies decided to set up their AI capabilities, just build a team somewhere in the company, which is quite strong, has all the skills you need, and it's then serving the business, and it's serving the marketing department, it's serving the pricing department and the supply chain team and whatever. And as you develop over the time, this core team is becoming smaller and smaller, and there is much more knowledge and skills on the in the spokes. That marketing team has their own data scientist, and they know how everything works, and maybe they even have a data engineer. So that's quite a traditional journey the companies intend to do. Now, what happens in reality? And this is, by the way, an example. It's not from a client, but there's not a client name behind that, but there's a combination of a couple of discussions I had. So very often, these center of excellences are built somewhere in the IT without really understanding the business ideas behind it. What happens? There is a guy from business, let's being an investment company, saying, well, I have a huge amount of reports. I need to, read them every day. There's this natural language processing stuff. So, I've heard from Elon Musk, OpenAI, can you do something? So that's a request coming from business. And usually the IT, the data science departments come in and say, yeah, absolutely. We can run a BERT model. It's a transfer learning stuff and helps you do this and that. Or some other guy said, yeah, I actually know someone who was doing it in R&D. And a guy on the business side said, what the heck? Number one, I don't understand what the guy is talking about. Number two, my business is so special that it's not transferable from R&D. That might be a bullshit, but that's what he thinks or she thinks. And then he says, okay, so let me, block this connection. So, and two things happen. Both of them are in a German market actually quite. So it used to be happened quite often over the last couple of years for many companies. Some guys say, I do it on my own. It's so important topic for me that I hire my own data scientist. I build somewhere in the IT my own platform, and I do it just, I don't care about any central strategy. And other guys say, doesn't work. So I don't need to do this. I had a discussions with a utilities companies who just told me, you know, we have our rule-based engine in the procurement. AI is, you know, we don't see any value. It just doesn't make sense. Leave us alone. So that's this is what we see actually very often. And the key reason is, and that's written here, I'm a big fan of the so-called analytics translator. Even though I think McKinsey came up with this role a couple of years back, a person who is able to speak business and has also sufficient technical skills to really make from the use case the path to a solution. And this skill is heavily missing everywhere. I was on a conference in Berlin a couple of months back. There were a team from Carl Zeiss. Oh, sorry, from Carl Zeiss. They actually have a team of so-called AI projects managers which are doing just this. They are responsible for bringing the business and the solutions together. So one absolutely key thing. So this one, that's the second big issue which is happening. Sometimes it actually works. And they come together and they build a solution and they build a first dashboard locally in a Power BI or a Jupyter Notebook, great results, or you just, you know, we build a recommendation engine, so you want to sell your products, you get a list of the customers, then you call them and it works and everyone is happy. So the business comes to the IT and to this data center of excellence and says, guys, cool stuff, let's put it in production. Yeah, difficult. We need to talk to the IT guys. So what happens then? You start to talk to the IT guys, and because they are mainly looking into the discussion, they're mainly looking at, you know, keeping their older system running. They don't have the proper skill set. They have constantly a huge amount of things to do. They say like, oh, well, it takes time. We don't have the people. We need to set up this and back and that. And sometimes going from here to there to industrialize an AI solution in all the companies, it takes months. It's really, even a simple stuff to put it in a German bank into the processes takes months and tons of signatures you need from numerous people. So to bring something from my home country, I call it, it's something like a Czech dream. You probably don't know it, but in Czech Republic there were a couple of guys who did a movie. Basically, it was their, I think that was their diploma thesis. They created a movie and advertisement that there is going to be a grand opening of a huge supermarket where everything is going to be half the price. And they basically said, okay, and you come there and this is the grand opening, and they actually even built this wall. 3,000 people came, and there was nothing behind that. And this is actually something very similar we see with this early center of excellences in data. So you promise a lot, maybe even you know, show some results, but when it comes to scaling to generate the long-term value, they forgot to build up the capabilities. And this is what we see. It's, and I'm coming slowly to the end, really, what do they have in common, the successful companies? And they realize exactly these two things. There are maybe a couple of more, but these two things. They have analytics translators. They do all the data stuff extremely close to business. All the use cases we discussed in healthcare, which were presented in healthcare, autonomous driving, fighting poverty, environmental stuff. It's not going to be the data scientist only. You need a guy who understands how environment issues actually work. You know, what are the relevant variables, where to get the data, how to transfer it in some, you know, tangible outcome. And these guys needs to be there from day one. This is big thing. Most of the smaller startups and tech companies, they have them from day one. Second point, that means also the data science teams are close to business domains. It's more and more what we see It's not a data science generalist. We see guys who are marketing specialists. We see pricing specialists. We see, if you look at the large pharmaceutical companies in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, they all have their dedicated data science teams for the domains. So they have 10 people who are doing only supply chain analytics and only marketing analytics. They are becoming, and the third point, that's a business domain. The third point, what they realized, when you build a factory, when you are setting up your operating model, from day one, you need to think about scaling. It's a flexible team. It needs to be somehow cost efficient, maybe with nearshore, offshore resources. But from day one, you do not build a solution just to present it to the CEO. You build a solution which you can deploy. You get a architecture which allows you to have a CI/CD, which allows you to have an MLOps. You have this whole factory component, the DevOps component included. And in the early stages of at least the data strategies I've seen in Germany, everyone was like, no, we use cases. We are the domain driver. We are the cool guys doing something with data, but they completely missed this factory feature. These hubs are usually built very close to the platforms. What does it mean? It's just to give you an example, a large pharma client in Germany, they built for their one specific domain an AWS-based platform to industrialize the use cases in product supply and supply chain. And they have teams sitting very close to the platform. This platform is regulatory validated, and for this platform, you have an operating team somewhere in India and Brazil, which is 24 hours available. So they built this around this platform and did it extremely close in development with basically with the platform team. And last but not least, and it's the topic of the data governance. And I said that a big topic for the next couple of years will be responsible AI. The second big topic is going to be data mesh. Everyone is now trying to do the data mesh, to have this ability to share data in a very efficient way. This works only if you have reasonable data governance. Who owns the data in your company, and how you can access it, and a well-documented stuff. And if you look at some of the clients I was working with, so these things are really the key decision topics. Yeah? So here it's a close to business, it's a factory, and the data is very well structured and managed. Putting this together, if you want to do this, so imagine in a situation you're in a company, and okay, so I have the same situation, it doesn't really work. How can I do the next step? So we realized that the first point is actually quite crucial. Data was a new topic, and it happens that you just go in the wrong direction. You need to take a step back and see why it actually doesn't work. Is it because my platform sucks? Is it because my data is not good enough? Or do I have the wrong use cases? So at the moment, we are really in a phase where, and from a consulting perspective, we are getting more and more requests to re-evaluate data strategies, which were designed in 2000, I don't know when, 2000, maybe 17, 18 for the first time. And now the teams are realizing something doesn't work, why it doesn't work. And this is one of the first things which is necessary to do. Second one, talent. This will remain a massive challenge. You need the right people, the right jobs. It's better to have less people with the right skills than more people and not really be able to get best out of it. I was yesterday talking to a guy who owns a startup in Germany, and he said, I'm trying to keep it extremely lean. I'd rather hire 4 really good data scientists than have 3 data engineers there, ML engineers there, and 2 data scientists there. So there's this focus on talent because this will be tough. And from day one, think really as a factory. So every time you're putting on the use case, ask yourself a question: how can this generate value at the end of the value chain? Okay, So this was a lot of information. I'm sorry for that. It was slightly longer than I thought. But I hope you could enjoy it, take something with you. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Michael, for opening the floor. Do we have any questions? No, I think that we have an exodus, or maybe, incoming crowd. I'm not sure what's going on.
But if there are any questions, we can do it afterwards.
Okay, they can find you somewhere around.
I think they will.
At the lunch break.
Sure.
Thank you, Michael, so much. It was great. Thank you.